At the heart of every paddler beats a passion for water, competition, and conservation. This unique podcast aims to unite all the paddling styles and stories under one common heartbeat. This is The Paddler's Pulse.
Hey everybody, thank you again for joining us at The Paddler's Pulse. Hi, my name is Greggy and I am super stoked that you're here today because we got a good one for you. Man, I am fired up. I'm fired up about this interview. I had a chance to sit down with a gentleman who just recently completed what is known as the world's ultimate endurance event. And I want you guys to picture this. Buckle up for a second, all right? It's a race. It's called the Great Pacific Race. And it goes from Monterey, California to Honolulu, Hawaii. Yeah, across the Pacific, California to Hawaii, okay? This team called Team Uniting Nations, made up of 4 gentlemen from different parts of the world, and we're going to learn about that, completed this race in Guinness World Record time. 39 days, 12 hours, and 20 minutes at sea. What? Okay, so I got a chance to sit with him, and let me tell you, this was one of the funnest interviews. Okay, we had a great time. But you're gonna learn a little bit about what it took for them to do this. Not only the physical exertion of it, but also just the mental, the emotional, it breaks so many barriers, and it's such an amazing thing. Also, we get a chance to talk a little bit about how he prepares for things like this and his general theme of just grabbing life by the horns and living it to the fullest. You're going to love this guy. He has this warm smile, this hearty laugh, but at the same time, he's a fierce competitor. He has a strong will. He's dedicated to purpose, and you'll see why. And just a pure zest for life. Just a really, really cool guy. You're going to learn how he came from a small village in France where he did nothing but play soccer before, until he came to California, found outrigger canoe, and then this just whirlwind of events started to unfold that led him to this great American race. You guys are also going to learn some really fun things. I want you to stay tuned in to know and find out who Thunder Johnny is. Also, how the islands smell when you're at sea for over a month. And the proper way to train with a condom catheter. So anyway, you guys, this is a great episode, and I really want you guys to soak it all in, listen to it again, share it with some friends. We learn a lot about the power of having 1,000 mentors, how to become comfortable with discomfort. It's just phenomenal. So without further ado, we're sitting out in the back house in the podcast studio. I'm putting air quotes up, the podcast studio. And this is what unfolded. Had a really great time. I hope you guys laugh along with us because it's that much fun. And without further ado, Mr. Cyril Derreumaux, skipper of Team United Nations, the team that broke the Guinness World Record for the world's ultimate endurance race, the Great Pacific Race, right here on the Paddler's Pulse. Enjoy, you guys. All right, you guys, thank you again for joining us at the Paddler's Pulse. And like I said, today I get the honor and the joy of hanging out with this cool cat named Cyril. And say hi.
Hey, so pumped to be here.
Yeah. So we're hanging out in the back lot in the podcast studio, and yeah. So I wanted to. You're here. Obviously I've chatted a little bit about your accolades, but let's dive a little bit deeper into it, and maybe back up a little bit and tell me first of all how you got into paddling. Well, first of all, tell me a little bit about you. All
right. So I'm French. I was born in France from a family of five, 3 brothers, 1 sisters, and very small village, 5,000 people, and really basic normal life.
What's the name of the village?
It's Saint-Gall-en-Mélantois.
Oh, wow. I'm just going to let you say that again. Go ahead.
Yeah, Saint-Gall-en-Mélantois. It's the north of France.
Okay.
And the north of France, to tell you very quickly, it's like London weather. And we say that if it's not raining, it's because it's about to rain. Right? So it's not like California.
I like it.
So, essentially, these were my roots. And then after I started, mostly traveling just because I love life. I just want to, enjoy new experiences. And I'm a type 7 Enneagram.
Yeah. We were talking about that earlier. That's kind of, for those of you, say it again, you're a type 7 on the Enneagram.
Enneagram. Yeah.
Which is a pretty go-get-em type of person for sure. But you left when?
I left it when I was 18. I was exchange student for 1 year. I had my 12th grade in France, which is called baccalaureate.
Okay.
And before starting university, I took a year off and I went to 12th grade in Arkansas, of all places. And I loved it. It was so good. I loved it. It was the first time in my life I had to take my own decisions. My mom, who was like a mother hen, and she was the best mom ever. She's a saint. Every time I have to thank her every day of my life, like my dad would say. But it was so great at 18 years old to be in an environment that was completely different language, different culture. And that was a keystone for me at 18 years old to leave overseas.
Okay. So 18, you left this little village, this tight and collective family.
Yeah.
I went to Arkansas. So French guy in Arkansas. And it sounds like that cracked the eggshell of your adventure side.
I got to tell you first that the idea I had was not to go there. It was, I wanted to go in America. And America for me was, if you go like by the sea here, you see the people with their skateboard and surfing.
Okay. So America might have been
and palm trees and all that.
California or Florida.
And the kind of family for me in Arkansas. Well, sure, I'll go.
Yeah, it's got to be America, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So your first experience of Arkansas was what?
I show up. I was 18, jet lagged. And the host family that was welcoming me said, all right, we got to go this morning to your host brother's football practice.
Football.
Yeah, football. And I got there and they say, well, you played soccer? Yeah, that's all I played all my life. Can you kick the ball? Yeah, sure. So after 5 minutes, say, okay, put the shoulder pads on my shoulder. It's okay, there you go. You're in the team. What? And that was a key because once you're playing football, you're like a friend with the whole team.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and I made the quarterbacks were my friends, and you're instantly like,
the cool guy.
Cool guy or within the team. And
Oh, that's so funny. So spent a year here, then went back to France?
Yeah,
okay.
Went back to France, and then I did international studies for 5 years, which 1 year in Oxford studying.
Okay.
It's a master's degree in international business.
Okay.
A year in Madrid, and a year in France, in Paris.
Oh, wow.
And from there, I moved in Italy for a year and a half. So that was my French, English, Spanish, and Italian, my fourth language.
Oh, yeah. So wait, by what age you had 4 languages?
I was 23.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow, fantastic.
And what was interesting is that, I had lived a year in Spain. And when I went in Italy, I had to completely forget Spanish to learn Italian. And once I knew Italian, then I could come back and kind of juggle with those languages.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're so close that you make mistake, right?
Oh, got it, yeah.
And after that, Italy, I saved a little bit of money, $7,000. That was all I had. And I decided to go on a trip around the world for 1 year.
That's amazing.
My budget was $10 a day. So.
$10 a day for a year?
Yeah.
Trip around the world. Oh, God.
Yeah. So South America, Southeast Asia. I could only go to the countries that were cheap, because, I didn't have money. And then I called friends of friends. Oh, somebody, I got somebody over there. You got to see him. Sure. And friends of family of whatever.
Right. Talk about building a network. Wow.
Yeah. And by then it was just the beginning of emails. So I was using an email. I didn't know how to use it. And,
neat.
And then
probably limited access too, because most places don't have as much.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And that was a blast. And I loved Brazil. I wanted to learn Portuguese, so I said after that 12 months, I said, "All right, I'm going back to Brazil."
Yeah.
I taught English. I did soccer. Most of the thing was soccer.
Yeah.
Brazil. I was teaching English, and it lasted 6 months. And then after I had met my future wife, and we said, okay, we go to California or we go to France. And we decided to go to France.
Oh, cool.
For a year. And then after we moved to Argentina for a year and a half, I was opening the subsidiary for Cooper because that's what got me into the wine business.
And you still do that today?
Yeah, still work. It's been 10 years in California, always in the supplier side.
Okay, cool.
Tasting wine.
Oh, what a shame.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it. Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, but what's funny is that I think it's going to be a recurring theme of this podcast is actually I'm not a winemaker. And I learned on the spot as you say, okay, I got to give advice on products. And they say, all right, go. The more you taste wine, the more you know about wine.
Right.
And you start by not knowing about wine. Yeah.
So okay, that's interesting. Let's kind of hover there for a second because one of the things that I've learned about you is that you can easily take what would seem to be a challenge and kind of dissect it into these bite-sized ways of approaching it so that you can fully integrate yourself in it. So that brings you to California, and then this is where this kind of part of the story begins, is you're in California, and then you found what everybody listening to this knows and loves. You found paddling.
Yeah.
How did that even
Well,
happen?
I was kind of in the water world when I was growing up. My dad taught us windsurfing.
Oh, cool.
When we were on vacation in Brittany. So I liked the water. I was not passionate and crazy about the water, but
comfortable.
well, the Bay Area, I mean, you got the water right there,
Yeah.
you know, and then I met this guy from Fiji, big smile from ear to ear that everybody knows, Tevita.
Tevita, yeah.
And I blame everything on Tevita.
Yeah, he blame everything from this point forward. You're blaming
it's
on
his fault.
Tevita. It's all his fault.
Tevita and this other friend of mine, Leif Calvin, also. We're going to talk about him. He's an awesome mentor for the paddling world.
Okay, great.
So anyway, he says, look, there's I go in this club, Tamalpais. It's in Sausalito. We get out of the bay under the gate, Golden Gate. So sure, I'll come. I'll try it. And I remember the first time I went out, I was seat 5. And after 10 minutes, I was like, when are we pausing? What are we, you know? And then, wow, it was probably a day where there was quite a big of current. You know, you have to know the currents when you go in the bay.
Yeah, it's a pretty...
And I was like, wow, this is awesome. You get splashed and it's a water sport. So yeah, I love it. I just went back. And there you go.
OC6 has good energy too because you're sharing that experience with 5 other people. And so you probably took to that pretty well.
I loved it.
Felt like family right away, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with people like Tevita. By the way, if you're listening to this and you hear my dog barking in the background, her name is Sinopa and she's hanging out with your kiddos.
Oliver and Simon.
Oliver and Simon. Yeah, they're watching a movie. So apologize for that. But at the same time, she's adorable. So yeah, tell me more about that. So that was your first experience under the Golden Gate Bridge. That's not a bad first outrigger experience, by the way.
Yeah,
that would top some people's lists. So
it was in the middle of season, paddling season.
Okay.
Because I started late.
Okay.
And then Leif, who was the coach, said, well, there's this Around the Rock race in 2 weeks. I had paddled for like 2 weeks. And you're doing the race. I said, what, are you crazy? I don't even know how to paddle.
Yeah.
So you're doing the race and you're going to be seat 1. All right. And I remember being like, how am I going to get ready for this?
Yeah.
I woke up like at 6 or 7 in the morning, got my pasta.
Yeah, fidgety. And
yeah, I knew nothing about nutrition,
and...
about sport. All I was playing is soccer until then, you know?
Right.
Okay, so I did that race. I loved it. And we were cranking on it. Very novice. But for us, it was the best race, right? And then before you know it, it says, okay, Leif again said, well, there's Catalina coming. It's in a few months. You got to, train more and you're going to be ready for Catalina. I did the Catalina that same year.
Had you done water changes before that?
No. Well, you learn as you go.
You make it sound
you're in the water, you gotta get in there.
You're in the water now, get in the canoe. Yeah.
Hurry up.
Yeah, you're in the canoe, get in the water. Yeah. Okay, I like how you make it so simple.
So, going back to your idea at first is how do you break it down? You got to go Catalina. It's going to be 5-hour water change. Okay, what do I have to learn? You got to get in the boat. So what are the muscles you have to use? Okay, pull-ups. So I'm going to start doing pull-ups.
Right.
And then, you have to be more endurance. Okay. And Leif would say, well, you got to run the hills and that's going to build your cardio. Right. So essentially learning as you go by asking people that know.
Sure.
What's the best nutrition? You got to have some, liquid because it's easier to digest, but, mix of carbs and protein, a little bit of protein.
Right.
And, that's things I've never heard about, which is electrolytes. What is that for?
What is that for?
It's really...
Wait, so Catalina was how long after you...
Well, when it's Catalina is...
First started?
That's first year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and then after there was a holy grail, which was Molokai.
So within your first year you did...
I didn't do the Molokai the first year.
Got it. Wow, okay. So tell me about that. But
that was the 1 year goal for the year after.
Got it.
The second year. And then I trained. I said, I want to do Molokai. And Tevita again said, well, I want to put a crew together with Uncle Bobby Puakea. So we're going to go with that canoe. And it's a privilege. And why is it a privilege? And well, because there's spirituality. What's their spirituality? So you go into, learning more about the culture of outrigger canoe.
Yeah.
And that word that is awesome, which is ohana, the family.
Sure.
You're instantly part of the family. And then how, you have to treat the canoe, how it's it's a person. So once you get in the canoe, you don't cuss.
Yes.
And you only bring positive vibes.
Yes.
And I love this.
Yes, this is good.
Everything about canoe,
Yeah.
that you learn as you go.
Yeah, I said it. I think Chris and I were talking about that. Chris Hill.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and it is one of my greatest aspirations to share a canoe in a race. Yeah. So what a great thing. So you got this chance. Our good man Tavita again is knocking on your door and saying, hey. And so at the same time, you got to learn, here's why this is special, why this is important, what goes behind it. So how amazing. So then you went and did Molokai. Yeah.
And also I have to thank Leif also. He would call me and say, there's a full moon, you coming with me? It's 9 p.m. I'll give you my OC1 and then get into the OC1 and start to see how inefficient your stroke is.
Yeah, yes.
Instead of being just one guy, the 6.
Right, yeah.
And how...
And you can't blame anyone for timing, but you're just...
Totally.
Yeah.
So, and just where do you have to be able to do Molokai, and then just break it in chunkable pieces just make it happen. And then once you do that, the last 5 minutes of Molokai, it was like feeling that overwhelming sense. You went over your limits and like, wow, that emotion that comes from the back of your skull. And you're like, oh my God, this is life. This is what I want. I need this,
Yes. Yes.
So I'm doing Molokai again next year for sure.
Oh, I love it. It's like a drug, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can see it on your face.
So I did the Molokai so 4 times, 4 times in a quad canoe. Wow. Isn't that amazing?
Oh gosh.
And then I was like, okay, well, I was sit 1 because I'm not very strong. I'm not the fastest. Never been the fastest, but I can keep a pace.
Sure.
And so I did called a few buddies and said, how about we do a bit longer race? There's a California 100. It's 100 miles down the river of Sacramento. Let's do that, right?
Such a great race.
So
such a good cause too.
Yeah, have you ever done it? Yep.
No, it's on my list.
Yeah, they canceled it for this year.
I saw that.
Do it next year.
What a shame too. I guess that's the problem of too much water. Like we went through like feast and famine. It's like famine, now it's feast. But
so it was 12 hours.
Okay, cool.
And then.
How did you do it? Was it...
I did it with this friend, Johnny.
Okay.
I call him Thunder Johnny. I'm this guy...
Wait, Thunder Johnny?
Yeah, oh
Thunder
my God.
Johnny! I want a nickname like that.
You're going to meet him! He's got the same energy as you.
Oh,
it's like, you meet him, it's like, I love this guy.
Thunder Johnny. Oh, this is so good. Okay.
And Johnny was like... So he had done the Yukon River Quest.
Okay.
And... So you look at it, what is a Yukon River Quest? So, it's a 440 miles race. And then again, I call those friends Leif and Dan and Tony. Those guys have been paddling forever. Tony did 18 times a Molokai Hoi.
Oh, wow.
So talk about the guy who's experienced, right?
Yeah, he's put some miles in.
And his friend Dan and my other friend Matt. And then, all these guys that just come, and his friend Roman. And we say, okay, we don't put a boat together. And they said, well, I don't know if I want to do that. And I was that little spark said, I want to do it.
Yeah,
I need a crew because I'm not good enough. And we did it.
So what was the mileage again?
It's 440 miles. And it's divided in 3 legs. The first leg is, we did it in 19 hours. And then you stop 7 hours. So the moment you touch the dock, they run a clock for 7 hours.
7 hours, okay.
And then you got to be ready. And then, they say 10, 9, 8, boom. And you go again for a second leg, which is 14 hours.
Wow.
And then you have a stop for 3 hours, and then you do another 10 hours. So it total is 45.
Wow.
And, okay, so how do you prepare with that? Because the water is 0 degrees Celsius. It's almost freezing, right?
Oh, wow.
And then how do you paddle for 19 hours? I mean, the Molokai is 6 hours, but you do water change.
Sure.
So what kind of nutrition do you need? You're going to be cold. You're going to be, paddling for, what is the stroke that you have to have?
Yeah.
So you go from an outrigger canoe where you're, essentially, Molokai is like sprints.
Sure.
You do 40-minute
sprints,
and then you stop 20 minutes. You go, so it's a series of sprints. Well, there you go for 19. It was funny because after 9 hours, like, whoa, I've never paddled 9 hours. And then we're like, okay, there's just 2 more Molokais. I was like, what?
You're like, really? That's...
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
What a perspective. What a frame for it, too, right? Oh, that's all.
And then...
And you did it.
Yeah, we did it, and I felt great.
Yeah.
And these other guys it was very humbling because these guys are super strong, and then you could see them having troubles because maybe they had too much muscle. Then how do you manage your electrolyte? How do you manage everything?
Right.
And then you mental.
So they reached some new ground too.
And I remember after, I think it was there 12 hours, Leif, who was my mentor, I was looking up to him. I could see him fail for an hour. It was like, oh guys, I got to stop. I'm feeling hot. I'm feeling dehydrated. We stop. It was so funny in the boat too because we couldn't get up. So for 19 hours, we had a condom catheter to be able to pee. We had to pee.
Say it again. You're cracking up because it's so normal to you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to hang on. So you had a condom catheter. That's what you said.
The idea is
19 hours in a boat.
You can't get up.
So
you still have to pee.
You have
you drink.
That sounds like torture.
No.
That sounds like paddle torture. Like
so
that's paddle S&M. Okay.
So we actually had to train to be able to pee
in a catheter.
Sitting down.
So what did you do? Drive around San Francisco? Drive around with a condom catheter just to get used to it? Seems like a damn good idea, actually.
Yeah, you have to try it on before. It's like you have to train with your PFD and be able
totally
to...
different. Yep, move and be as... Yeah,
So any race you do, you kind of push the limit a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that leads us to that latest crazy challenge that was, all right, I've stumbled upon this website that says, you don't have to be a rower to row an ocean. I was like, what? Rowing an ocean? You don't have to be a rower?
Well, hang on. Let's checklist it first. So got into outrigger.
That was 2009.
Okay, 2009. Did the round the route. Then Catalina.
2010 was my first Molokai.
Okay, then 2010 Molokai.
Yeah, 11, 12. I did like 3 years in a row. And then I stopped for 1 year. I did the Yukon.
Yeah.
Did the California 100. And then, so in 2012, I decided to do the ocean row.
Okay.
Which is in 2 years later. Because I have to learn how to row. I've never rowed in my life.
Right. So you had already, at that point, you'd paddled. So, but it's a different thing, the rowing part. Yeah. Okay.
I think it was more seeking adventure, feeling that feeling that I was telling, I called it such a blast.
Yeah.
Which is the last 5 minutes where, oh my God, this is such a blast.
This is such a blast, yeah.
You know, you feel like so empowered. Like, this is something amazing I've never felt before.
Right.
And I wanted to feel it again.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so you went looking and you saw a website.
Yeah.
That told you...
About this race about rowing across the Pacific.
Okay.
Like part of the mid-Pacific. It's part of the Pacific.
Okay.
Which is from California and all the way to Honolulu, Hawaii.
Wow. Okay.
And
it's called what again?
It's called the Great Pacific Race.
The Great Pacific Race. And it starts in Monterey, right?
Monterey. It's every 2 years. And the first edition was in 2012. 2014, sorry.
Okay.
So I said, all right, I got 2 years. And then I speak to my friend, Roman Crystal, who's a paddler, an amazing guy. I mean, he's talking about an adventure. He did so much. I mean, he was in the Olympics for the kayak in 1986. He's a paddler for the Monterey. He paddles in Monterey.
Okay.
And we met at the Yukon and we get, to be super friend. And they say, well, would you row across with me? You say, yeah, sounds good.
Because that's just normal talk for people. So just hey, how do you feel about going across the Pacific with me? That sounds pretty good. I'm in.
Yeah, tell me more. Hang on, we have more projects for the future.
Oh, I love it.
Oh yeah, I think you might be in too.
Oh, that's so good.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, we say, okay, we'll have to put a boat together, buy a boat, see the budget. And again, once you have a big goal, then the preparation has to be bigger. You have to look at finance. You have to look at economics.
I love that. Say that again. Once you have a big goal, the preparation has to be bigger.
Yeah, it's bigger.
Well
so 2 years is actually short to prepare for an ocean row.
Okay.
Because, well, physically, mentally, emotionally, you have to look at all those parameters. How do you get ready for that?
Yeah.
How do you get ready for sleeping only 45 minutes at a time, and nutrition and training and new technique, using the best form when you row. And if you've never rowed, how do you learn?
Yeah. How do you learn how to row?
You've been a rower in the past, yeah?
No. I don't have.
Oh, I thought you did. Yeah.
No. So it's a whole different technique, different motion, different. So you guys are in.
Yeah,
you're like fist bump. We're going across the Pacific.
We're gonna raise $80,000.
Okay.
And how are we gonna do that? Look for sponsors, create a website, talk to people around us, and my method of doing things is actually being accountable to people, because I actually go out and I say, I'm going to do this. Right? So if I say I'm going to row across the Pacific and after 2 years, I haven't done it, either you prepare your project and you don't say anything. My way is to say to everyone,
I'm doing this thing.
Yeah, and they actually motivate you because after 5 months, hey, you still doing this? Oh yeah, I'm still doing it.
Still doing this, yeah.
But what happened is that I couldn't make it happen this time. I didn't have the money, couldn't find it. It was really hard. Maybe I was not ready then.
Yeah.
But so I had to, December 2013, I had to say, well, it's not going to happen in June 2014.
Okay.
All right, so I gave up on that. But I say, okay, how can I make it happen in 2 years from now?
Good.
You know, and
so a couple steps back, but you didn't let it stop you. You kept, and you were dedicated to keeping your promise to these people that you had already said this about.
Yeah, and I'm one of these guys that once I have something in my mind, I don't think I won't.
It's an itch you have to scratch.
Yeah.
Okay. And so 2014 was out.
2014 was out. Yeah,
And then
I think I did Molokai just to relieve my stress.
Oh yeah, because that's what normal people do. Well, this didn't work, so I guess I'll go do Molokai and scratch my itch. But I guess it makes sense.
I was training like 2 hours a day.
So you were probably really ready for it.
I was ready, and I wanted to do, still have fun and do the Molokai because it's my race. It's my, and now I want to do it. I want to do it against this year.
Oh, that's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
So 2016 comes around. 2016 is looking to come around.
Yeah. This time I go into different conditions. I know I had to find $20,000, and I sit down and I say, okay, what if I save $1,000 for 2 years? So it's I have enough money, so I'll just make it happen that way. And the way is you have the owner of the boat that says it's a pay per seat. For 4 people are coming into the boat. They each bring their own budget.
Okay,
and then we row.
Okay, so somebody owns this craft.
Yeah,
and then you guys come in with your own budget to all kind of pull together to make this thing work for you. Okay.
But the problem is that you don't know who they are. So we were Team Uniting Nations.
That was the name?
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
And I love it because it's 4 people from 4 different nationalities.
That's awesome.
The same goal of reaching Hawaii.
Yeah.
And different backgrounds, different ages. I was 39 at the time. Thiago from Brazil was 29. Carlo was 43, I think, from the US. And Fian was 36, something like that, from Iceland.
Wow.
So, and the image is great,
Yeah.
We have to, the common goal is to reach Hawaii.
Right.
I love it. There's a little island, we have to go there. And so we each train on our different sides, but with a common goal of breaking the record, because the thing is, I'm competitive by nature, and if I'm going to go in the boat, maybe it's going to be my only shot in my life.
Right.
I want to do the best. And I just can't go like, oh, well, let's go on an adventure,
Right.
So I wanted to have a crew that would be the same way.
Yes.
And I mean, these guys are 100 times better than me. It's crazy.
I saw, you showed me a picture of you guys, and we'll probably add it to the show notes so people can see. But they're all like a foot taller than you. I was like, that's usually me. In most pictures, I'm the guy who like everyone's a foot taller. That's fantastic.
Well, Fian, I mean to tell you, he had the Guinness World Record for the fastest crossing on an ocean road in the Atlantic.
Oh,
and the Indian Ocean. He already had 2 Guinness records.
Wow.
And he comes in, I'm like, okay, I did Molokai 6 hours.
Wow. So he was. He's got a bucket list, or like he's got a checkoff list that would make people poop.
I mean, he's got the knowledge, the experience. That was crucial to have him on our boat.
Yeah.
Carlo was a rowing coach.
Okay.
So talk about knowing how
somebody.
Yeah. He was our coach at the UC Davis rowing coach for 10 years and rowing forever. And then he did also a lot of triathlon.
So he was a triathlete.
So really good. Thiago the same. He was a jiu-jitsu fighter, like one of the best in Brazil.
Okay.
When he was young, and then he did rowing as well. And then I met him during that multicultural Tavita kind of Molokai crew.
Oh, got it. Okay.
That's how I met Tavita, Thiago.
Oh, that's how you met him.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And we clicked. We clicked. I spoke Portuguese. Nobody else
spoke. Sure.
So we clicked like brothers.
Oh,
and then when I had to find the 4th guy for the crew, I said, I'm going to call Thiago. Thiago, he owned his own company, so he could probably take the time off. And we made it happen. I was so happy to have him in the crew.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Boy, that's fantastic. That's like, talk about universal alignment right there.
Yeah.
That's so good. Okay, so you guys put together your crew. You're ready to do it. You're heading for 2016, and then I can't even fathom, keep going.
So let me tell you about how it is in the boat.
Okay.
How do you row across an ocean?
Yeah. Well, first of all, give me a highlight. Like, what are the stats of it? So you start in Monterey, you end up in Honolulu.
Yeah, the record right now
what's the span?
was 43 days.
It was 43 days. That was the
Yeah.
record. Okay,
And-
so across the Pacific, 43 days, 4 guys in a boat.
In a boat.
How big's the boat?
It's 27 feet.
Wow. Okay,
You
I'm
got-
going to say that one more time. So, California to Hawaii, 4 guys in a boat that's 27 feet long, 40 days. Mm-hmm. Holy cow.
2 cabins that are super small. And 2 rowing seats in the middle.
Okay,
right?
2 rowing seats in the
Yeah,
middle.
so
Got it.
there's 2 guys rowing for an hour and a half,
Got it.
while the other one rests.
Okay, so you
And
do
every
shifts
hour and
of
a
2.
half, you shift.
Shifts of 2 at an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That's day and night?
Day and night. Wow. You row to an hour and a half, you stop an hour and a half. And the hour and a half where you rest, you're actually not sleeping because you get out of the seat. Let's say it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You're wet. There's a wave that came above. You're wet and you're cold. So you get in and try not to bring too much water. So you get dressed with your foul gear. And first thing is hygiene. You take care of your butt because that's where you get the most shafting of your hands, your feet. And for 15 minutes, you just remove the salt with a baby wipe.
Oh, wow. So like
Next 15 minutes is food. You have your rehydrated food that is freeze-dried. You're rehydrated before. And you,
So that's all you ate was freeze-dried food?
most of it, yeah.
Wow.
You're still bars and all
Yeah,
the
okay.
different
But
things.
mostly just
yeah.
like packaged stuff. Wow.
And you...
So you're not like cooking like eggs and greens?
Oh, no. You can
There's
heat
no-
water, and
but-
that's what we did for the first 3 days. But then after, it was so time-consuming, and you really focused on what you need to do.
Yeah.
And you could rehydrate the food with, cold water.
Regular water.
So you just eat cold. And
Wow.
that's it. And that's what we did
So
day and night.
you gave up the hot food. Like
Yeah.
you're just like, that's too much trouble.
Yeah.
Wow, that's okay.
So you eat about 6,000 calories a day, but you spend 8,000. So you lose
You
weight.
had a 2 to 50.
So we had bulked up. I lost 20 pounds. Thiago lost 30 pounds.
You bulked up before it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was really hard because when you train like 2 to 3 hours a day, it's hard to gain weight.
Sure.
And it's not pleasurable. You have to eat more.
A lot.
It's
yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah, super full. Yeah, you and I are like pretty close to the same body type. So
Yeah.
I know that's like to be a hard gainer.
Yeah. So let's say 15 minutes hygiene, 15 minutes eating, and then 45 minutes you just fall. You're just sleep. You're like broken down. You just sleep. And then after it's 15 minutes to get ready for your next shift.
Wow.
Getting the wet clothes again. It's hard.
Wow.
So, and the whole thing is, how do you train for that? How do you train? I mean,
How could you even?
only
Yeah.
45 minutes at a time sleeping.
Yeah, I mean, you're changing your entire. So you're
And-
doing these cycles. You get these sleep cycles that are super minimal. I mean, that messes up your circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
Like your whole body just gets funky. Like how
So,
does-
and again, you talk to everyone who's done it before, and you talk to people who hasn't done it, but who could have a good idea of it, right? So, I spoke to Carter Johnson, for example. I don't know if you know him. He's a surf ski paddler.
what's his name?
Carter Johnson.
Carter Johnson?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's got the Guinness record for the longest distance for 24 hours on a moving water and on flat water.
Oh wow, cool.
So you say, okay, how do you train? What do you think I should do? And he tells you, okay, if I were you, I would do that. And you learn as you go. They say, the first 2 weeks are the most grueling, and then you get used to it. But you do, really. But
So what were the first 2 weeks like for you?
it was hell.
Really?
Oh my God, it was just. It's harder than anything you can imagine.
So the first 2 days. I mean, you get out. You're
I
in
think
the
the
open ocean. You're like, all right, the adventure begins. You probably have like a level of like excitement, curiosity.
Yeah. The
And then-
first hours are like, that's it. We're doing it. And I'm in the boat and we're off.
And
That's
we're
it. I mean,
going.
there's you work so much to get to that point. And it's already victory, by the way. This kind of adventure, just being on the starting line is a victory,
I love that.
right?
Yeah. Well,
So, you're going to suffer the first 2 days, 3 days. You hang on. I was seasick for 3 days.
like
That
right
was-
right away.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh jeez.
Seasick
And you
is-
still have to do your shift.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's no way you're gonna give up. I mean, it's kind of a question of pride too. So you just go and you do it, right? But the first 2, you adjust to the small environment. You're not gonna walk for 40 days. You're gonna have to row every hour and a half. But also, when you get out, you gotta be very efficient. You have to look, especially the first day. When you get out of the coast, California coast.
Yeah.
There's a lot of container ship. So I was the skipper of the boat, so I have to make sure I've a look on that on the GPS. You got the VHF to talk to those container ship. Hey, do you hear me? Do you see us?
And you're just a speck. I mean, you're just a speck on the ocean. If you're only
Yeah.
27 feet long, and and you're floating around in this container ship paddle.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So you have new food.
Wait, you had told me that you had something on the ship that made them able to see you, though.
Yeah. We had a AIS. We have a signal that makes it like we're a big vessel.
Okay. Oh,
Right.
that's
So
awesome.
the big hunters, they say, "Well, I see you, but where
I
are
don't
you?
see you.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
see you
I see you on the
physically."
screen, but I don't see you physically.
No,
Okay.
we're a rowing boat. We're gonna row, and we want to go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
And
It's
then
so funny
then they all went down to their galleys and
Yeah.
went, that is absolutely bananas. Who is this has got to be a joke.
And just these conversations were so fun because sometimes you'll have this Chinese captain, you don't understand what he's saying.
Right.
It's like broken English. And sometimes you have this very perfect British captain is going to,
Right.
perfect English. That was funny.
Okay, cool. What a fun thing to take away. So a couple days in, seasick. Wow.
Seasick.
Seasick.
New nutrition. I mean, when you eat normal land food,
Sure.
and then you have nothing fresh, no fruit.
Got it.
No, just rehydrated, freeze-dried food,
Yeah.
essentially, right? And so your digestive system, your body's like, hey, you're rowing 12 hours a day. And the most I had done was like 6 hours per day. That was on a Saturday when I was trying the pace of 2 hours on, 2 hours off.
Got it.
You know?
Okay.
And your body's like, what are you doing? You don't sleep. You don't eat properly. You have to drink a lot more than you need because you don't want ever to go to that dehydrated space.
Yeah. Water becomes important.
Yeah. And then you're seasick, and then you're a tiny space, and then you go in at night, you don't see anything.
No lights.
And you got big
nothing.
waves, and how do you row? You don't even know how to row on an ocean that is big.
Yeah.
You've never been that far.
Wow.
So it's an adventure. I think it's good to rely on your buddies and say, okay, let's do this. Next shift, one shift at a time.
Yeah. I'm taking that in. Okay, so yeah, and at night too. I don't even know if people can.
Nights were the worst.
Why? Because you can't see any. Like you don't know waves that are coming,
Yeah.
and they probably swamp you at some point. Was there a moment when you were afraid?
Yeah. I was. So even though the air is not that cold, as soon as you're wet and there's wind, you get cold. And 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you're so cold. You're shivering. Now the next 15 days, you just have to, cleanse your teeth, and then you're gonna get warm. But the first minutes are so hard. Oh, well, let me tell you about the shifts. So from the beginning, we wanted to beat the record.
Yes.
And that's what Fian brought us, which is that discipline of looking at seconds. We say that at the Molokai, seconds counts.
Yeah,
when you
sure.
do water change, you want to be fast because you don't want to
Sure.
stop. Well, this is so true when you do such a long distance. Let me give you an example. If your speed is 2.5 knots, so it's 2.5 nautical miles an hour, right? Per hour. So 2.5 per hour for 10 hours is 25 miles. For 20 hours, it's 50 miles, right? Okay. So for 24 hours per day, for 24 hours, you do 50 miles.
Okay.
Let's say you do that distance for 40 days, you reach Hawaii.
Got it. Which
Right.
is like 2,400 miles or something like that. 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you do 51 miles on average, then you do 1 mile more per day for 40 days. That's 40 miles at the end of the trip.
Got it.
40 miles, it's 1 day off, 1 day less,
Got it.
right? So just by doing 1 more mile on average per day, you're saving a day at the end,
Got it.
right? So that means if you do shifts every hour and a half, that's 8 shifts per day. That means you need to do 100 yards more per shift.
Shift, yeah.
And then you're going to save a day in the end.
Oh, wow.
So you're putting yourself on a pressure to perform better than you would normally do. So
Wow.
It's really, really tough. And then the other one is, for example, if you do a shift, eight shifts a day, and you take 5 minutes to do that, to take the shift the teams. Well, 5 times 8, it's 40 minutes per 24 hour where you don't row. You don't move. The boat is not moving, right? So that's, let's say if you take 10 minutes instead of 5, so you double that time. Instead of 40 minutes, you do 80 minutes per day.
Right.
Let's say you take an hour, like 60 minutes.
Right.
Well, 1 hour times 40 days, it's 40 hours.
Right.
Right. So you're losing 2 days just by the shifts.
Oh, wow.
So we had the discipline to say, instead of doing 10 minutes shift, no, we got to be 5. That means you have to get ready before and then shift. Boom. And that's what makes record breaking possible.
So that's what Thiago or Fian brought
us. Yeah, he brought us so much, which is crazy.
That's some pretty specific knowledge.
Yeah, things that you don't think about.
To accomplish, yeah.
For example,
the record.
Nutrition. You don't want to eat salty foods and sweet foods at the same meal. Because essentially if you eat salty food, then you're going to create that stomach acidity and pH and enzymes to digest salty food. If you put any sugar in there, the stomach is going to be, well, I got to create something else to digest that.
Got it.
Right? So we were only eating salty foods, and then we do a shift, come back, eat sweet foods. We wouldn't mix them. And that's a detail, but in the end, your body is so under stress. You have to make sure that you do
those
the
types
best.
of details matter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, for example, at first I was so tired. I'd go in the cabin, sleep, wake up and eat, and then go rowing. And Fian said, this is so inefficient because you're on a row with a full stomach. You're going to spend your energy digesting and not rowing. The first thing you have to do is eat and then you sleep. You digest it, you go on the oars, and then you row. And also not drinking when you eat. You drink a little bit just to make it, a little bit in your stomach, but you don't want to drink too much, otherwise you dilute those enzymes, and then you're not digesting well enough.
Wow.
Right. So the hydration was only when we rowed.
Interesting.
And those little details you would
those are very specific details too. Wow. Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, so each of you brought something pretty impressive.
I didn't know what I bring. you know what? I brought the happiness and the optimism.
Yeah, you brought optimism, light, energy, and and you brought everybody together.
But which was actually like Fian had a hard time with my optimism. I would wake up, it was like pouring rain and cold. And I was like, what a beautiful day. Shut up. I don't want to hear you. And, he didn't like it.
Oh, wow. Oh, man. But I'm sure in the end, with somebody who is as driven as him, I mean, the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean records, I'm sure in the end he thanked you for being there, probably.
I don't
know. Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
What a crazy experience. Okay, so... All right, so I love that we sidetracked though. At this point, we're only about a week in, and so you're seasick at nighttime, frightening.
Yeah, I mean,
uncomfortable.
That means everything's hard. I mean, you're constipated.
Oh, okay.
And you have to go on that Home Depot bucket.
I didn't believe you when you said that.
Oh yeah, there's no room. There's no water.
So for everybody, your bowel movements have to be in a Home Depot bucket.
Yeah, you don't pee or poo inside the cabin. Anything can happen. There's a wave coming, and he's like,
and it's like everywhere. You don't want to spill that problem.
So you're on the deck. There's two people rowing. You don't want to lose time, right? So you're on that Home Depot, and the only place on the boat where there's room was in front of the rowers, right? So they're looking at you. In fact, the stroker who's doing the pace of the rower was actually touching my knee as I was going.
That's called a level of deep connective energy, emotional.
But you know what? After a while, you don't care. I mean,
you probably
you
don't.
Got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you're like halfway through.
And they're the same way.
Mode.
They got to do it too.
Yeah. Wow.
Didn't take a shower in 40 days.
Just those wet wipes.
Wet wipes. I did wash my hair twice.
Okay.
Feels so great. The best thing is brush your teeth. Like said, you're looking for those pleasurable things. Like brushing my teeth was such a pleasure.
Wow. I don't know what the hair thing is like, but yeah. But yeah, I can get that. Okay, so you're like a week or so. I just want on an emotional level, like how did this impact you? Like where does your brain go? Where do people's brains go? Like how do you even?
I think it depends on your personality. I'm very emotional, and I embrace the emotion side of me. Okay. And that's what gives me strength and motivation. For example, I was thinking about my kids.
Good.
And I cried every day because it was like, oh my God, I'm reaching my, after a month, I was like, I'm done. I mean, after 2 weeks, after 3 weeks, I was done. It was just one, and I guess it was just that, when we talk about mental strength, you just have to be mentally strength to be, those are little battles that you win. And I'm not that strong. It's not like you're a commando and go and do 50 push-ups. It's when you don't want to do it, having the strength to do it.
Right.
It's like when you train, you say, okay, I'm going running tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Right. And then you wake up and you turn off that
the alarm clock. And
being mentally strong is for those 2 seconds saying, I'm out. I'm getting up.
I'm going anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I have
to be able to do that, you have to do that 100 times a day.
Right.
You don't want to eat. I got to force myself to eat.
Okay.
You don't want to wash yourself. Hygiene. Every shift, you got to put that soda cream on your butt to make sure you don't shaft. You got to make sure that, you have to clean the deck of the flying fish that are, because,
Wait, say that again? You have to clean the deck of flying
Oh, yeah.
fish?
So the last 2 weeks, before you get to Hawaii, at night, you have a little bit of light, and then the flying fish are attracted by light, and they just jump on the boat like these little tiny fish, and they go everywhere.
So you're like...
They stink.
Really?
Yeah, they hit you in the face.
Oh, really? That's like the movie Life of Pi.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. You're like the real life Pi. That's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, so a little side note.
Yeah.
We haven't seen whales. We've seen dolphins in the Monterey Bay when we left. There was a pod of 40 dolphins the day before we left. It was like, oh my God, that's a sign.
Good energy, yeah.
Love it. But we didn't see too much out in the ocean. But birds. Oh my God, the birds. You got an albatross. You're 1,000 miles away from the shore, and you're in the middle of the Pacific, and you see those birds coming in. You say, what?
What are they doing? Yeah.
What are they doing? How can they go so far from land? It's beautiful.
That's cool.
Beautiful.
That's really cool. All right, I have to take a breath from the journey, and I didn't even do it. Okay, so you're rounding. You're kind of getting close. You're about a week out. What's going on with you then?
Oh, then you count the days. The
Really?
hardest
Okay.
was really to get to the midpoint,
Okay.
because until you reach the midpoint, whatever
You
you
turn
did
around,
is not
it's-
enough.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Right. So you're gonna have to do more than half, and then as soon as you pass half point, then you say, okay, now I'm downhill.
Right.
So it gets easier without getting easier. I mean, because
Yeah.
we still had a schedule to beat the record.
Sure.
And we were on a good track. It was a year where actually the conditions were bigger. So we had bigger wave, bigger wind. We had this router in France, this French guy who told us every day, okay, these are going to be the next conditions of the wind and the tide and the size of the waves and the currents, etc. Just to tell us the best way to go. But it's really one day at a time.
Wow.
But the last week was the best. Oh yeah, you get to Hawaii, you get these beautiful
islands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
such a blast moment.
Yeah, you're kind of like, okay, it's actually so probably similar to the feeling that you had when you were on the boat, like when you're a day and you're like, oh my God, we're here, we're doing it, and then you see the islands, you're like, oh my God, we're here, we're finishing it.
Yeah.
Probably.
And then
similar.
you smell the land.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because you always say, the ocean has a smell.
Yeah.
But actually, in the ocean, there's no smell.
Huh. Except for flying fish on the deck.
But what you think is the smell of the ocean is really the algae and the kelp and really what's on the rocks on the shore. That's what smells.
Interesting.
Once you're in the middle of the ocean, there's no smell.
There's no smell.
So when you go in the islands far away, you can smell the dirt. You can smell the
I love that.
The earth.
Oh, I love that.
Which you don't really remember. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, I love it.
Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. Okay, so you're a week out. You're a couple days out, and then you see the islands, and then you're heading towards. You could smell the islands, and then what?
And then it's happening. You're gonna do it. You got a family waiting for you.
Oh wow!
And then you're deprived of so much. You don't have a pillow. My sleeping bag was wet from week 1.
Wow!
So you sleep in wet conditions. I've got fungi under my nails.
Oh wow!
My hands. You've seen pictures of my nails.
Hands.
It was
they're freakish.
Yeah, they're crazy. And then no fruit, nothing cold. So there's you're looking for that beer, or there's nothing warm. There's nothing that you've been cooking like a real home cooked,
like a meal.
All you want is those simple things. You want a shower, you want a pillow, you want a hug, you want human contact. You miss human. Yeah, so you're looking forward to that. And
so you get on land, and God, what a thing to be like salivating for, so to speak. I wanted
you're like
a day out. You could probably see land at that point.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, you wanted ice cream?
Yeah, I wanted ice cream.
Oh, how funny! What a great thing. What did you have? Did you have ice cream? What was your ice cream?
I don't remember. Vanilla.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't
care.
Like
it was ice cream.
Oh, there was fruit. There was a pizza.
Oh, pizza, fruit. Wow.
Yeah, and then
family,
just a shower,
and people in a shower.
Loved one.
Now, when when you guys landed, did you know at that point, like, we did it?
Yeah. We knew we broke it by 4 days, so we knew.
So you already knew. Okay.
Yeah. And but still a sense of accomplishment. And,
oh my God.
And then you just relax.
Yeah.
Because for 40 days, you always had to do something.
You're on edge.
When you're stopped, you say, okay, I got to
you're fight
look
or
at
flight.
the GPS, look at the speed, look at the
right.
wind, look at the everything. You have to be attached to the boat. That was safety measure. You know, so these boats are self-righting. Mm-hmm. But if you do fall in the water,
well, you're going.
You know,
you're in the water.
Yeah. The guys, it's a boat that weighs 2,000 pounds. Even if the guy see you fall in the water, the current might be too strong. They might not be able to turn the boat around and go against the current.
You. Wow.
Right. So it's safety would be to be attached at all times. So that's a stress again.
Yeah. Like you're like I said, you're just in this fight and flight mode for 40 days.
Yeah. And that's very long. I mean, think about what you're doing in 40 days.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does anything consistently for 40 days except maybe, make coffee in the morning. That's about it. Yeah, wow.
But again, I'm not an athlete. So I had to, before was, okay, what would be the things I have to learn before doing that? Learn the electricity of the boat, learn nutrition. And I started Zazen, which is a Buddhist meditation. Yeah. Because you're in that confined environment where you can't escape the boat, and the infinity of the ocean, and the depth of the ocean, how deep it is. You look at down, there's miles and miles of ocean, so it could be scary. And if you're sleep deprived, bad nutrition, but how am I going to react?
You make bad choices. Right. You get angry. You get upset. You get agitated. Of course.
So I stopped alcohol for 2 years.
Oh wow!
I didn't have vacation for 2 years, so I could take a month and a half off. So there's many things that people don't see. All the sacrifices that you say, well, it's great, you got a Guinness record. Yeah, but you didn't see all the sacrifices that I've done,
Sure.
Saving money, $1,000. It was like, okay, I'm not going to have that beer tonight. Yeah. I'm not going to go to the movie. I'm going to save that money.
Yeah.
So.
But doesn't that just add to the reward of it all?
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
for me, it's not hard at all.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, that's good. That's my thing. And I'm not going to let a beer or I'm not going to let a movie stop me from my thing.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
Almost ridiculous. I love the dedication to a goal. You had mentioned something to me earlier about how to be uncomfortable with, or how to be comfortable with discomfort.
Yeah. So you know that you're going to be in conditions you can't control. Mm-hmm. If I have to tell you, okay, tonight at 4:00, I'm going to call you and you're going to go, let's say it's raining outside. You're going to go run for an hour. And you're going to jump in the ocean, which is cold, and you're going to run another hour being wet. Oh, that's not very comfortable.
It doesn't sound good.
So how do you prepare for that? So I had just put it on myself to 2:00 in the morning, put the alarm clock, and see how I feel when I do that. Take cold showers for 2 months. And it's not it's easy to start.
We talked about that before, and I do it every now and then too. Just to tap into that thermogenesis. But
putting wet clothes on, I mean, you can always picture. So I was running.
Any paddler can resonate with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just we don't like that. Yeah.
So how do you make yourself comfortable being uncomfortable?
Yeah. So you purposely did that. You put yourself in situations or plan situations, made it a habit to make yourself uncomfortable.
Yeah. And one of the things on a daily basis that I did very fast was I had to remove every act of laziness in my daily
routine rituals.
Yeah. For example, how many times you say, okay, I got to wash the dishes. I'll do it tomorrow. No.
You just do it.
You can't be lazy. You got to do it.
Interesting.
Every time you can, there's so many little moments where we're lazy. It's laziness.
Interesting.
I don't take a shot. Go. It's 10:00. You got to do something you don't want to do.
Don't want to take the trash out. Do it.
Yeah. Do it.
Don't want to pick that thing up. Do it.
Because once you're in the boat,
you have to do it.
It's poured. You got to change the wheels at 2:00 in the morning with a flashlight, and your seat is not rolling. It's not working. You got to do it. There's no. We're not even asking you if you want to do it. You got to do it.
Oh wow. Oh wow. That's incredible. So I'm going to come a little full circle here. For people who don't get it by now, or who didn't pick it up, this is not your natural thing. You are self-proclaimed from a small village in France, and you played soccer, and you're not this is not a thing, but you were able to do it. And I think one of the things that we were talking offline about is that you approach everything with a beginner's mind philosophy.
Yeah,
everything.
I like to think that even if you're advance in any sports or anything, you could look at it as a beginner. Say, what more can I learn? And that's Leif Calvin was telling me. I mean, he's the best paddler ever. The guy just looks like flawlessly. You feel like he's not doing anything. He's like so much faster than you.
Oh, I love it.
And he's got this beginner's mind. And I think he gave it to me. Say, well, you can always learn something. One thing is to feel that you can still learning after even 10 years of practice of anything you've done, but also not being uncomfortable starting new.
Got it.
I just started surf ski.
Oh, yeah.
And I've never done anything. Well, yeah, I'm going to fall in the water. I'm going to try, I'm starting guitar. I've never played guitar.
Love it.
Start doing it.
Yeah.
Not being afraid of being a beginner. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think, you were saying that it's so easy for us to think that, like, we got to be the best at something and we got to, like, come out the gate swinging hard and, but that stops people from ever trying because they're like, well, I couldn't be great at that.
Yeah.
So I might as well not even try. And you're saying just always try, like always.
Yeah, totally.
Have the possible thought.
Like if you're 40 years old and you've always wanted to play guitar, well, start it now. You're going to be a beginner. Yeah. Okay, maybe the guy who's 20 years old is going to be much better than you.
Sure.
But 10 years down the road, you're going to have 10 years of guitar when you're 50, right? So it's okay to begin at any age.
Yeah, I love that. Another thing that I thought was really awesome that you had mentioned, and I certainly got the theme throughout as you're sharing some very pivotal names and people who have been a part of your journey. You had used a phrase that I thought was phenomenal, and that is like a man built from 1,000 mentors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, because I'm not a professional. It's not what I do. I was relying on the people around me to give me their knowledge. When I said 1,000 pieces, I called Carter Johnson. How do you train? And okay, like he would say, well, train as hard as I can, no matter what time you have. Like if you go for half an hour, you train as hard, you go as fast as you can for half an hour. If you train for 2 hours, go as fast as you can. It's going to be different speed.
Sure.
You train as hard as you can for 2 hours. If you train 10 minutes, go as fast as you can for 10 minutes. That's a good piece of advice. I'm going to apply that. And I called David Kelly and say, hey, what you did 4 times a Yukon Rigger Quest or 5 times you were first time. What would you recommend to do? And give me the advice. Leif would give me the advice. I went to the gym and the guy would say, okay, if you want to work those muscles, that's what you're going to do. Pull-ups and clap, and push-ups, but you have to clap. You have to be explosive. So you learn from all those different people. And maybe, okay, I was the guy arriving to Hawaii, but all these people that made it happen are the people that are invisible. Yeah. That maybe didn't say, you're crazy to do that, but say, yeah, that's awesome. Go for it.
How can I help?
Yeah.
Wow. That's how you know you have a good mentor or person on your side. They're like, yeah, the share of knowledge and the share of wisdom is phenomenal. This is awesome. I gotta tell you, it's so fantastic. I just taking it all in.
But I'm a regular guy. Huh? I'm a regular guy. I see my kids and who are they inspired by? They look at Stephen Curry on the TV and they're inspired by them. Yeah. I'm inspired by them. I'm inspired by Danny Ching. I mean, these guys are a machine. I mean, I'm not his ankle. Yeah. But I dare. So it's funny. I call these people that are inspiring like the bald eagles. Yeah. They're far in the sky, and some are approachable like Danny Ching. Like when we went at the Paddlers Retreat in Santa Barbara, that was awesome. Yeah, recommend it for everybody else.
Okay. But so for people who didn't know what that was, the Cali Paddler put on a retreat in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, and Danny was there.
And Danny was there. Yeah.
Yeah, but generally those people that inspire, they're untouchable. They're up in the sky.
Sure.
And I still wanted to be inspiring some people. Yeah. So I guess I was the flying cow because I'm a regular cow. You see cows every day, but And why do I want to inspire people in some ways? Yeah, and why I wanted to do this podcast, because you never know who you're gonna inspire. Okay, when I did my trip around the world, I went to my local school and I had my backpack and opened it. Okay, here's the stuff I'm gonna carry. Here's the shoes. I got a pair of shoes to walk, a pair of shoes, flip-flops. That's my shoes. I got a map on the wall, and this is where I'm going to go. And I was 6 or 7 years down the road. This guy knocks on my door with his 3 buddies, and he had his bikes. And he said, "Oh, we're doing a round the world trip in bicycle, and you're the guy who inspired us to do that." Oh, so you're kidding me? I didn't remember the guy.
He was in the school.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, and my ocean row, I really wanted to have that little impact. I don't know who I'm going to impact, but I spoke to all the local schools in Healdsburg and Santa Rosa and in French and English. And I spoke to 2,000 kids from 7 to 12 years old.
Wow, fantastic.
Now, I don't know who's going to be like touched by that little spark.
Sure.
But maybe done in 10 years, and it's going to be the best reward ever.
It's a ripple effect.
That's going to say, hey, you remember you came to my school and I loved it. And, I followed you on the map and it was great to see you with a big beard or whatnot.
Yeah, and I'm going to do the same event. Or maybe they come to you afterwards and say, oh, yeah, I did the same event and I beat your record.
Yeah, I love it.
That'd be pretty cool, huh? Wouldn't it? Yeah, but it's a ripple effect, and I appreciate people like you who are conscious of the possibility. There are role models. This is something I say. There are role models like firefighters and lawyers and whatever your version of a role model is. But I also deeply believe in the power of what I call a possibility model. When you do something in the world where other people go, "Whoa, that's possible," and then something changes and it shifts something in them, and I think that's without a doubt something that the Great Pacific Race and you guys have done, which is amazing. I'm still wrapping my head around it. I hope I'm pretty sure everybody listening to this is kind of jaw dropped at just all the amazing things that you've been able to do.
They should get in touch with me because I actually created that website.
Oh yeah,
CDX Pro.
CDX Pro. CDXPro.com?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is a non-profit. It's actually non-profit. It's not even like declared or anything. It's just a website I put together where I offer people that have a goal that they want to do, they have been willing to do for many years, and they just don't know how to make it happen.
Okay.
That I'll sit down with them for an hour and we'll try to see how we can make it happen. That would be great.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
So CDXPro.com.
Yep.
They can hook up with you there. I want to know some of the. If you're listening to this, I want to know some of the challenge. I want to know some of the challenges that people bring, because that is fantastic.
Well,
because what you've always been able to do is you take these like big things that look daunting and you break them down to bite-sized pieces that can get done on a schedule, that can get done with some clarity, some regularity, and then you can actually do this thing that you've been excited about doing. Yeah. That maybe has just looked like a out of reach thing.
Yeah, like let me give you the first example. People ask me, okay, you did a trip around the world. I mean, it was hard to plan. It was not hard to plan. I took a flight to Nicaragua. Once you get there, well, you're in the airport, you take a bus to find a hotel, you get into downtown, you got your guide, you look at 3 hotels and you take a hotel with your price point. Next morning you wake up, you say, oh, I'd like to visit something. And there's 3, there's this mountain I can climb, there's this river I can cross, and this cathedral I can go and see. Well, I'll do this one, and you do it. And the next day you want to change city, you take a bus, it's so easy.
You just keep going.
Right. Yeah. And people say, well, how do you do it? I mean, I've never been there. Well, of course you haven't been there. So just make it happen. And people say, well, you speak 6 languages. How do you learn?
Yeah, but you learn that by doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you learned your languages by actually doing it.
But people might have wanted to live overseas. And then say, you want to live in Argentina. Okay, let's sit down. And you want to go when? In 1 year. Cool. You got to learn Spanish. You got to translate your resume in Spanish. You got to start talking to people who've been to Argentina. All these little details.
There's so many things.
It's not so complicated. So I guess I'll be just holding their hands until it happens.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Oh, that'd be so rewarding, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And it could be running a marathon, a triathlon, losing weight, learning a language, travel overseas. You name it, whatever you want to do. And it could be small. But then once you do that, then you do a little bit bigger. You do your around the world Alcatraz race.
Yeah.
And then you do Catalina.
Yeah,
and then you do California.
Your around the rock becomes bigger.
Yeah,
it becomes Catalina.
Totally.
Then it becomes Molokai.
Your thresholds changes as you do those. You say, I've done that. I can do it.
But the dynamics are the same, right? I mean, you break it down. It's mental, it's physical, it's emotional. Like a lot of the dynamics are very much the same. It's just a different scale of doing it. And that's kind of, I can tell so far, that's how you look at those. That's how you look at those things. Okay, so then will you train me for Molokai? Will you help me get ready for Molokai?
I want to be with you in the boat.
Yeah, that'd be even better. Oh, wow. That'd be quite an honor. I think we could probably go on for another hour or so. I
love this.
I know. It's so great. Thank you.
Thank you for doing that podcast. I think it's amazing.
It's a gift to our paddler and our tribe, the people who like the Paddler's Pulse. What's your next adventure? You got to have something on deck, man.
All right, so I got one. So when I arrived in Hawaii, I was 39 years old and 10 months. and we did 39 days and 10 hours.
Wow.
So I said, well, we're just under 40.
Yeah.
And now that I'm 40 years old, I want to cycle across America from San Francisco to New York.
Oh, wow.
And the time should be good. If I do, it's around between 3,500 to 4,000 miles, depending where I go.
Okay.
But if I do 100 miles a day for 40 days, then I'll get to the East Coast. I want to do, the first picture will be with me with a bike, with the back of my tire on the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, cool.
And then go across the U.S. in the front of my bike on the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, I love it. What a great idea. What a great visual, too. Oh, fantastic. So...
And then the other thing is, I was not a rower, but I rode across mid-Pacific.
Yeah.
I'm not a cyclist. I've never done more than 20 miles. Beginner's mind.
Yeah.
I just bought a bike and now I'm putting my ass on the bike.
And it's going to take you across the United States.
Yeah, and then I can take a shower every once in a while.
Yeah, it might be a little bit different. If you needed to, you could stop. It's a little bit different, yeah.
Yeah, and meet people. I think the people component also is something I missed.
Oh, you're probably going to very much enjoy that part.
But the other, I still want to do Molokai this year again.
Great.
With Tevita. Just because it's such a pleasure. I love to share things, you know.
Good.
So I want to do that. And maybe, have you heard about the Texas water safari?
No, tell me about that.
It's like a very long race. That's 300, 400 miles in Texas.
Okay.
And you have to do portage. So
portage. Okay.
Yeah. You know, a leg, and then you have to cross and run with your boat on your shoulder.
Oh, wow.
Then, it's more of a marathon canoe.
Okay.
But I can
that sounds
learn
like
that
a lot of fun. Yeah, I could learn that too. Oh man, super inspiring. Well, okay, so people can find you at cdxpro.com. How else? Are you like, I mean...
Well, I created this website, On the Water 360.
Okay, On the Water 360.
Yeah,
okay.
But I've got this new Facebook page also for Let's Cycle. It used to be Let's Road to Hawaii, and now it's Let's Cycle Across America.
Let's Cycle Across America?
Yeah.
Okay, that's your website?
Yeah.
So the first one was Let's Road to Hawaii?
Yeah.
And the second one is Let's Cycle Across...
You can change the name of the page.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah,
I love it.
And maybe it'll be Let's Do Something Else after.
Yeah. Do you have any aspirations to do climbs? Like Kilimanjaro or something like that?
Yeah, that could be. I'm not so much of a mountaineer. I don't like to be cold.
Oh, got it.
But sure, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Okay. Well, you keep me informed of your adventures, and I would love to join in sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you so much for joining me.
Oh, this went so fast.
Yeah, I know, right? We could probably fill another hour easily. But yeah, it's been an honor, and I really love what you're doing, and I really love how you get out there and do these amazing things to try to get people maybe off the couch, but just to be able to leave a legacy that is a ripple effect. That's a beautiful thing. So, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that it's kind of a way of teaching to my two boys as well. You know, it's hard to teach anybody values.
Yeah.
How did my parents teach me any values? By showing me, you know.
Sure.
And I hope to try. It's innate in the American spirit to be able to do anything.
Yes.
And I want them to think that way.
Yeah.
You know? Their own path will be different than mine.
Sure.
They might never be on the water. They might do something else. But
Sure.
I want them to understand by the way I do things that anything's possible, and anybody could do it too, you know.
Yeah, I think you lead that. I think you lead that by example for sure. If there's anything I've seen, and they're awesome. I like your kids. Yeah, they got such good energy.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for joining, and thank you guys for listening to the Paddler's Pulse. If you enjoyed this, my God, I know you did. Do us a favor and hit like and subscribe and share it with your friends, because that's what makes this grow and gets this message out and gets people like you to come hang out with us and chat and share your amazing adventures. So like always, we will see you on the water.
Thanks for dropping by to listen in. You, yes you, are the great people that bring paddling to life. Join us next time, and please don't keep us a secret. Like us on iTunes, share with your buddies, and keep the Paddler's Pulse pumping. See you on the water.